Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you a question. Have you ever shared something personal with someone only to regret it later? Maybe you opened up about your dreams, your struggles, or your plans, and before you knew it, people started giving you advice you didn't ask for, or worse, gossiping about you. Not everyone deserves access to the details of your life. This simple truth is one of the most powerful principles you can embrace if you want to walk in wisdom and peace. Far too often, people feel compelled to share their struggles, dreams, and even their private victories with everyone they know, as if doing so somehow validates their journey. Oh. But the truth is, not everyone is equipped to handle your truth, your process, or your progress. When you openly broadcast your personal life to people who aren't invested in your well-being, you unknowingly invite trouble. People may smile to your face, but carry motives that don't align with your best interests. Some listen to your struggles, not to comfort you, but to gather information they can later use against you. Others hear about your plans and feel jealous, spreading negativity that can shake your confidence. Shake your confidence. Worse still, some will pretend to support you while secretly hoping for your failure. It's important to understand that your life is precious, and so is the information you share about it. Every detail you reveal is like a seed. If you plant it in the wrong soil, it won't grow. Imagine telling someone about your dream to start a business, write a book, or build a ministry. Now, imagine that person responding with words of doubt or discouragement. Even if they mean no harm, their negativity can plant seeds of insecurity in your mind. Seeds of insecurity. Suddenly, you find yourself questioning whether your dream is possible, all because you shared it with someone who wasn't equipped to believe in you. Additionally, when you tell people about your struggles, you risk exposing your heart to those who may mishandle it. Some people only pretend to care, offering sympathy with one hand while spreading gossip with the other. Sharing your challenges with the wrong people can leave you feeling betrayed, hurt, or embarrassed. The truth is, your pain, your battles, and your victories are sacred. They are part of your journey with God, and not everyone needs a front row seat to that process. Instead of sharing your life with everyone, choose wisely. Identify the people who have proven themselves trustworthy, people who pray for you, encourage you, and genuinely celebrate your progress. These are the ones who can offer wisdom without judgment, who will uplift you without envy. Most importantly, learn to bring your concerns and desires to God first. When you take your struggles to Him, you gain clarity and peace that no conversation with another person can provide. Your life is valuable. Your dreams, your pain, and your victories are not meant to be entertainment for curious minds. Be selective. Guard your heart by guarding your words. Some things are best kept between you and God until the right time comes for them to be revealed. When you embrace the power of privacy, you create space for God to work, for your plans to unfold without interference, and for your success to speak for itself. Remember, what people don't know, they can't attack, delay, or destroy. There is power in mystery. In a world where everyone is quick to share every detail of their lives on social media and in conversations, the idea of holding back and keeping things to yourself seems almost unnatural. But there's a hidden strength in silence, in knowing that not everything about your life needs to be public knowledge. When you maintain an element of mystery, you protect yourself from unnecessary opinions, interference, and even spiritual attacks. Mystery creates anticipation and curiosity. Anticipation and curiosity. Have you ever wondered why some of the most influential and successful people are so private? It's because mystery creates value. When people don't know everything about you, they are left to wonder, and that curiosity draws respect. There's something compelling about someone who doesn't feel the need to constantly explain themselves or seek validation through oversharing. The less you reveal, the more powerful your presence becomes. When you walk into a room and people don't know your every move or plan, you carry a certain weight, a sense of control and composure that is rare and respected. Talking too much about your dreams, struggles, and personal life can weaken you. It gives people the chance to insert their opinions, doubts, and fears into your process. Words have power. When you share your plans too soon, you release the emotional energy that should have been reserved for execution. Talking about what you're going to do gives you the emotional satisfaction of accomplishment without any real progress. That's why so many people feel stuck. They've talked about their plans so much that they feel like they've already achieved them, even though nothing has changed. Speaking too soon drains your motivation and makes you vulnerable to criticism before you've even begun. When you maintain mystery, you give yourself room to grow without interference. Imagine planting a seed. If you dig it up every day to check its progress, it will never take root. Your dreams and plans are the same. They need to be nurtured in silence, away from the noise and opinions of others. Away from the noise and opinions of others. The more you protect your process, the stronger your outcome will be. Mystery allows you to build quietly, without distractions or premature judgment. It gives you the freedom to change direction without feeling like you owe anyone an explanation. Mystery also protects your confidence. When you don't reveal everything, you shield yourself from unnecessary negativity. If people don't know what you're working on, they can't speak against it. And even if they do, their words won't hold weight because they don't have enough information to attack you effectively. Keeping certain aspects of your life private allows you to move in strength and security. It gives you the peace of mind that comes from knowing that no one can sabotage what they don't know about. Living with an air of mystery doesn't mean being dishonest or secretive. It means being wise. It means knowing that not every battle needs to be announced and not every success needs to be broadcasted. Let your results speak for themselves. Let people see the outcome without knowing the process. Success is most powerful when it speaks for itself without a word. When you learn to protect your plans and guard your heart, you create an atmosphere where God can work freely and where your success will shine brighter than any explanation ever could. Your words have the power to open doors or to expose you to attacks. When you constantly tell people what's going on in your life, you give them an entry point into your mind and your spirit. You invite them to comment, criticize, and interfere with your journey. The truth is, not everyone listening to you has your best interest at heart. Some people are listening to find weakness. Some are listening to gather information they can use against you later. When you speak too freely about your struggles, your dreams, and your plans, you make yourself vulnerable to both intentional and unintentional harm. People have opinions, and they're not always helpful. When you tell someone about a new opportunity or excited about, they might respond with negativity or doubt. They might tell you why it's not going to work, why you're not qualified, or why you should reconsider. Their words plant seeds of doubt in your mind. Suddenly, you start questioning whether you heard from God correctly. You begin to wonder if you're capable of succeeding. That's the danger of opening your life to too many voices. Even people who love you may unknowingly discourage you because they are speaking from their own fears and limitations. They might not mean to harm you, but their words have the power to derail your confidence and your momentum. Then there are those who aren't rooting for you at all. They smile in your face, but deep down, they're hoping to see you fail. When you share too much, you give these people the ammunition they need to undermine you. They might spread gossip, twist your words, or simply sit back and take pleasure in your struggles. The enemy works through people like this. He wants you to expose yourself so that he can use others to discourage you and distract you from your purpose. If you stop giving people access to the intimate details of your life, you take away the enemy's ability to use those details against you. Speaking too much about your plans also creates unnecessary pressure. When you tell people what you're working on, they start to expect results. They start asking for updates. And if things don't go according to plan, you feel like you have to explain yourself. This pressure can cause you to rush the process or make decisions based on other people's expectations instead of God's timing. You start working to please others instead of following the guidance of the Holy Spirit. But when you keep your plans private, you free yourself from that pressure. From that pressure. You allow yourself to move at the pace God sets for you without feeling like you owe anyone an explanation. Guarding your words is a form of spiritual protection. Proverbs 21:23 says, "Whoever keeps his mouth and his tongue keeps himself out of trouble." When you stop broadcasting your plans and your problems, you create a shield around your life. People can criticize what they don't know about. They can interfere with what they haven't been told. Your words are sacred. When you speak, you release energy and spiritual authority. That's why you need to be intentional about what you say and who you say it to. Not every ear deserves access to your words. Some things are meant to stay between you and God until they are fully developed and ready to be revealed. When you stop talking so much about your life, you reclaim control over your narrative. You stop letting other people shape your story with their opinions and doubts. You allow God to work behind the scenes without interference. You create an environment where faith can grow and where success can emerge naturally. People may wonder what you're up to. They may be curious about your next move. Let them wonder. Let your success speak for itself. Let your results do the talking. The less you say, the more powerful you become. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And when you master the art of silence, you protect yourself from the attacks that come through careless words. God works best in silence. When you look at the way Jesus operated during his time on earth, you'll notice that he rarely announced what he was about to do. He didn't broadcast his plans. He moved quietly, performed miracles, and left people amazed. He didn't need to explain himself or seek validation from anyone. He trusted that the work he was doing was ordained by his Father, and that was enough. This is a powerful example of how God operates and how we are meant to operate. When you keep your plans and struggles between you and God, you allow him to work without interference from human opinions and distractions. God is not limited by human understanding. When you share your plans with others, you are inviting human logic into a spiritual process. People will try to understand what God is doing in your life through their own limited perspective. They might tell you that your vision is impossible because it doesn't make sense to them. But that's the point. It's not supposed to make sense to them. What God is doing in your life is supernatural. It's beyond human reasoning. That's why you have to be careful about who you allow to speak into your life. When you reveal too much to people who don't understand the spiritual nature of your journey, you give them the power to inject doubt and confusion into your process. There's a reason why the Bible repeatedly emphasizes seeking God in quiet and secret places. Matthew 6 says, but when you pray, go into your room, close the door and pray to your Father who is unseen. Then your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. This scripture highlights the power of intimacy with God. When you share your heart with God in private, you create a sacred connection where he can speak to you without the noise of human interference. But when you start involving too many people in that process, you dilute that process. You dilute that intimacy. You start listening to human voices instead of God's voice. God often works in seasons of silence. Sometimes he will take you through a quiet season where things aren't moving as fast as you expected. In those moments, the temptation to talk about what you're going through comes stronger. Whoa. You want to explain yourself to people. You want to tell them why things are taking longer than you thought. But God is saying, be still and know that I am God. He is working in the background, arranging things that you can't see. If you start talking too much, you risk interfering with that process. You might make a decision prematurely because you're trying to meet other people's expectations instead of waiting for God's timing. Silence is not inactivity. It's faith in action. When you stay quiet about your process, you are showing God that you trust him. You are saying, God, I don't need to explain this to anyone because I know you've got it under control. That kind of trust gives God room to move in miraculous ways. He doesn't need your help to explain the blessing he's preparing for you. When it happens, it will speak for itself. People will see the results and know that only God could have done it. When you talk too much about what God is doing, you run the risk of letting pride creep in. You start seeking approval from people instead of approval from God. You start measuring your progress by how others respond instead of by how God is leading you. But when you keep things between you and God, you remove that distraction. You allow God to take full control. You give him room to shape your path without interference. God's timing is perfect, and his methods are beyond human understanding. When you stop explaining yourself and start trusting him, you align yourself with his divine plan. You become more sensitive to his voice because you're not distracted by other people's opinions. You start walking with quiet confidence, knowing that God is handling everything behind the scenes. And when the blessing comes, you won't need to announce it. People will see it. They will see the favor on your life and know that God was working all along. Let God work in silence. Trust the process. Let your success be the evidence of God's hand on your life. There's power in silence because it reflects faith. Faith doesn't need an explanation. It just needs trust. Keep your plans between you and God and let Him reveal the results when the time is right. Not everyone deserves access to your life. One of the biggest mistakes people make is giving the wrong people too much access. Just because someone is close to you doesn't mean they are meant to know everything about you. Proximity does not equal purpose. There are people in your life who are there for a reason, and there are others who are there for a season. The problem arises when you start treating seasonal people like permanent fixtures. You open your heart, share your dreams, and reveal your struggles to people who were never equipped to handle that kind of information. Not everyone is mature enough, spiritually strong enough, or emotionally stable enough to handle the weight of your truth. Some people are in your life for support, but others are in your life for surveillance. They are not there to help you. They are there to observe you. They listen to your plans, not because they want to encourage you, but because they are waiting for you to stumble. Some people are entertained by your struggles. They secretly take pleasure in your setbacks because it makes them feel better about their own insecurities. When you give these people access to your life, you give them the power to manipulate you through information. They know where you are weak, they know your insecurities, and they know which buttons to push. Access is a form of currency. When you give someone access to your thoughts, your plans, and your heart, you are giving them influence over your life. And influence is powerful. The Bible says in Proverbs 4:23, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Guarding your heart means being careful about who you let speak into your life. If you're constantly surrounded by people who are negative, fearful, or jealous, that energy will eventually start to affect you. Their doubts will become your doubts. Their fears will become your fears. Their fears will become your fears. You cannot expect to walk in faith with voices of fear. That's why Jesus was intentional about his inner circle. He had many followers, but he only had 12 disciples. And even among those 12, he had 3, Peter, James, and John, who were allowed to witness his most intimate moments. Not everyone saw him perform miracle form. Not everyone witnessed the transfiguration. Jesus understood that not everyone could handle the weight of his calling. Some people were meant to hear the parables from a distance, but only a select few were allowed into the deeper revelations. This is a model for how we are meant to operate. There will be people in your life who are meant to know you at a surface level, but only a small, trusted few should have access to your heart and your plans. Giving people too much access creates emotional vulnerability. When you share too much, you give people the power to disappoint you. You give people the power to disappoint. You expect them to care, to understand, and to support you, but not everyone will. And when they don't respond the way you hoped, it leaves you feeling hurt and exposed. But that pain could have been avoided if you had been more selective about who you open up to. Sometimes it's better to let people see the results rather than the process. When you protect your process, you protect your peace. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't owe anyone an update on your progress. Let them see the outcome, not the preparation. Selective access also protects your spiritual alignment. When you constantly seek advice and validation from others, you risk confusing human guidance with God's guidance. Sometimes God will give you a vision that doesn't make sense to other people. If you start sharing that vision too early, people will project their doubts onto you. They'll tell you why it's impossible, why you're not qualified, and why you should play it safe. But faith doesn't work that way. Faith requires trusting God's voice above all others. When you stop giving people access to your plans, you eliminate the noise and create room for God to speak clearly. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. Some people are meant to sit in the balcony, observing from a distance. Others are meant to stay outside the building altogether. When you become intentional about who you allow into your life, you reclaim control over your emotional and spiritual health. You stop feeling the need to explain yourself. You stop seeking validation from people who were never meant to understand your purpose in the first place. Protect your access. Protect your peace. Let your success speak for itself. When the blessing comes, you won't need to explain how it happened, because those who are meant to see it will see it, and those who aren't meant to see it never needed access in the first place. Success is most powerful when it speaks for itself. In a world where people are constantly broadcasting their every move, accomplishment, and plan, there's something undeniably powerful about someone who lets their results do the talking. True success doesn't need an announcement. It reveals itself naturally. When you stop explaining yourself and start focusing on execution, you shift your energy from talking to doing. Talking about your plans might get you temporary attention, but executing them will earn you lasting respect. When you let success speak for itself, you create an atmosphere of authority and confidence that no amount of words could ever match. There's a reason why the Bible emphasizes the principle of bearing fruit. Jesus said in Matthew 7:16, "You will know them by their fruits." That means people should be able to identify the work of God in your life, not by what you say, but by the results you produce. When you're truly aligned with your purpose and walking in obedience to God, the evidence will be undeniable. You won't need to convince anyone of your calling or explain why you're making certain moves. Your success will be proof enough. The blessing will be visible. The favor will be obvious. People will see the results of your obedience, even if they don't understand the process that got you there. When you focus on showing rather than telling, you eliminate the pressure to explain yourself. Too often, people feel the need to justify their decisions and defend their progress because they've made the mistake of announcing their plans too soon. When you tell people what you're working on, they start forming opinions. They start asking questions. And if things don't happen according to their timeline, they start doubting you. And that doubt creates pressure. But when you stop talking and start doing, you remove that external pressure. You give yourself the freedom to work at your own pace in alignment with God's timing without feeling like you have to meet anyone's expectations. Take this. Success that speaks for itself carries more weight than any explanation ever could. When you quietly build and allow the results to unfold naturally, you establish credibility without having to fight for it. There's a difference between someone who talks about success and someone who embodies it. When you embody success, people will notice. They'll see the growth. Notice. And they'll see the transformation. They'll see the increase in your life. And the best part is, you won't have to say a word. The results will testify for you. The fruit of your labor will validate you in the way that words never could. Letting success speak for itself also protects you from pride and distraction. When you talk too much about what you're doing, you open the door for pride to creep in. You start seeking approval and recognition from people instead of seeking the satisfaction that comes from fulfilling your purpose. But when you stay quiet and let the results speak, you remain focused on the work itself. You stay humble. You remember that the success isn't about you. It's about the glory of God being revealed through you. True success isn't about proving yourself to others. It's about fulfilling the assignment God gave you. Silence keeps you grounded. When you stop explaining yourself and allow your work to speak, you become more focused and intentional. You stop wasting time trying to convince people and start investing that energy into execution. People may question you at first. They may misunderstand your silence, but eventually, when the results begin to show, they will have no choice but to acknowledge that something is happening in your life. They will recognize that you've been walking with God, even if they don't understand how you got there. When success speaks for itself, it creates undeniable evidence of God's hand on your life. You don't need to advertise the favor of God. Favor is visible. When God elevates you, people will notice. When God opens doors for you, people will see it. And when that happens, you won't have to say a word. Your success will answer the questions. Your results will silence the doubters. Let the work speak. Let the results shine. Stay focused on the process. Trust God's timing. And when the blessing comes, let it be your testimony. Success that speaks for itself is the loudest and most powerful testimony you can ever give. In conclusion, stop telling everyone what's going on in your life. Your words got power, not just to build, but also to expose. When you constantly share your plans, your struggles, and your dreams, you make yourself vulnerable to criticism, doubt, and sabotage. And everyone deserves access to your life. Some people are there to support you, but others are there to observe, criticize, and even undermine you. By keeping your plans and your process between you and God, you protect yourself from the distractions and negativity that come from human opinions. God works best in silence. When you stop explaining yourself and start trusting God's timing, you create space for Him to move without interference. You eliminate the pressure to perform for others and allow God to shape your success according to His divine plan. You don't need to justify your progress or seek approval from people who weren't called to understand your purpose. Let your results speak for themselves. Speak for themselves. When the blessing comes, when the favor shows up, it will be undeniable. People will see the evidence of God's hand on your life, and you won't have to say a word. Success is most powerful when it speaks for itself. The less you say, the more you allow God to reveal His glory through your life. Walk in confidence, knowing that you don't need to explain your process to anyone. Keep your circle small, guard your heart, and trust that God's timing is perfect. Let the work speak. Let the results testify. Let the results. When the blessing comes, it will be clear that it wasn't by your strength, but by the hand of God. Your success will be your loudest testimony, and it will leave no room for doubt.